Hey everyone, welcome to episode 2, screw you, Cobb, of Stating the Obvious.
Two.
No, screw you. Okay, we have me, Viswadith, and then we have Pranay, Noah, Jacob. In that order, we will have them state something obvious. Pranay, please state something obvious for us. This is going to be our intro for every episode.
Bro, you catch me on the spot every time, and every time I have to fucking say I like boxer briefs.
Oh my god.
Oh
All
my
right,
God.
there we have it. He likes
That's-
boxer briefs. You've heard it for maybe the 12th time. Noah, what do we have here?
We're really fucking bad at this.
Okay, this made it. Yeah, it's obvious. Okay, Jacob, let's hear it.
Last time I said the sky was blue. This time I'll say the grass is
The
green.
grass is green. The grass is
Wow.
always.
That's
greener
only
on the
true
other side.
sometimes though. I've seen like blue grass, yellow grass.
I have seen dead grass, so
Yeah, but the majority of the time it's green.
you know what? Cause
Something else
That's-
that is obvious is that we should have a sponsor. Audible, if you're listening, sponsor us. Raid Shadow Legends, if you're listening, sponsor us. We are deserving of your sponsorship. And with that, let's get into today's episode. Starting off, Pranay has another moral question because this man's always thinking maybe about Walker Reefs, maybe about something else. But let's hear it, Pranay.
Okay, actually, this time I did not prepare moral questions, so I just asked Fish
Oh my
right
God.
before. I asked him what's a moral question. He said, "This is it." And so, the question for all of you guys is: will AI ever become sentient?
That's not a moral question though.
That's
Okay,
just,
you know
that's
what?
just a
You know what?
question.
This is not my
That's a
work.
regular question.
This is not my work. Blame Fish.
That's
Oh
a
my
regular
God. All right,
question.
way to pass on the buck to somebody else.
Yeah.
All right. The answer is yes,
Okay.
and we're just gonna move on.
Yeah,
I think we should just move on.
I just want to clarify. It's like sentient, as in like in the movies, kind of thing.
Yeah. Have you never played
Yeah.
Overwatch? Have you never seen
Like
Terminator?
Ultron?
Like what?
Like
Ultron?
Ultron?
Okay, I mean, yeah, no,
Okay,
but I mean,
well,
like
I
in
mean,
real life, do you
alright.
think it'll actually happen?
Yes. Okay. Look, if
Yeah,
Pranay
you
doesn't
just
have
said like in the movies.
a good question, just let me have it. I have an actual question.
Oh, really?
All right.
Alright, ask
Let's
your
tune
question.
it
You,
into
you can't
Noah's
steal my
moral question.
segments
Alright.
like this.
Get
man.
out of here, Pranay.
What do you mean I can't steal? You never built anything for your segment in the first place.
All right, Pranay, you're done.
Okay,
Noah,
You're
let's
just
hear
bad.
it.
You're just
Fine,
bad, Pranay. All right. So, all right. Forgive me if I went over this a little bit in the last episode, but I'm still on this. It's a question of if you expect the rest of your life, right, to be overall worse, like, or to be more composed of suffering than it is pleasure, right? Are you justified in committing suicide, right? Like, if you can reasonably expect, for example, like a terminally ill patient or a patient with like an illness that creates chronic pain, right? And they know they'll have to live with this pain for the rest of their life, right? If you can expect the rest of your life to be more painful than it is like happy, are you morally justified in committing suicide? And the corollary to that, right? If you're justified in committing suicide, are you then justified in murdering somebody else under the same conditions?
All right.
All right.
So to
Yeah.
address your corollary, like no, like it's not your choice to make, right? So like no, you cannot just murder someone just because they're under the same decisions. Like it's their decision to make. But regarding the actual question about whether you can commit suicide and whether like that's like morally justified, I guess. I think you have to be like certain with a 100% probability that the rest of your life is gonna suck. And if there's like even if it's like 99.9% that your life like will suck, and then there's like the 0.001% chance that like it could improve, I think you have to hold out for those very
Probability times
tiny
magnitude,
probability.
man.
We out here.
Probability times magnitude.
All right, Cobb, let's hear it.
No, I don't know, on the corollary question, definitely agree with Chip. Like, you can't murder someone. It doesn't, like, it's not your choice. It's up to them, right? But then on the actual question, on the general answer, I tend to agree with Jit that, like, you're not morally justified to doing it, but for a little bit different reasons. I do agree with Jit that, like, you can't say for certain that the rest of your life is going to be more suffering than pleasure, because things are changing all the time, and even if it's like something like doesn't exist right now is going to like ease your suffering or whatever, like in the near future, like technology and stuff's always advancing. That's why you see like new drugs coming out to help aid these chronic illnesses and stuff like that, you know. but there are times where like they take patients offline because like they're brain dead, or like the rest of their life is like not very long, like maybe 30 days or whatever, right? That kind of thing. So it also depends how long this rest of your life is, right? But it probably isn't. Like it also assumes that you're mentally capable to make that decision. I guess if you got like brain dead or something, you're like you don't have that ability to make that decision. But then you also have to think of the impact of killing yourself on the people around you, right? Mm-hmm. So I don't think that you can take that into account, even if your life is suffering. If you give pleasure to someone else by being alive, like your presence, then you're not morally justified because then you're causing suffering on someone else. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Sure.
yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, I actually agree with what a lot of Cobb said, but I'd say in a perfect world, like if it knows like perfect scenario, if you know like if perfectly you know everything, then then I feel like you should be justified. But in reality, that's definitely not the case.
Well, okay. So like to address this like probability thing, I think that's interesting, right? Because I mean, in terms of like death, right? Isn't it like a somewhat neutral choice? And that like you don't know if like death is going to be good or bad. It's like neutral, right? It's like a zero. So at that point, if you're looking at it like in like terms of like plus or minus, with like plus being like happiness, minus being like pain. Like if you're say, for example, right? If you're somebody who has like a illness that causes them a lot of pain, like a chronic illness, right? Mm-hmm. You could say like, well, there's a chance that they get cured in the future. But even if they get that cure, will the cure be worth it? In that, can they expect that the amount of pleasure they receive like after that will equal like this chronic pain that they're like feeling like every day?
Yeah, that's also true, because
I think it like depends on what they're doing with the chronic pain. Like, does the chronic pain inhibit them from doing anything else, or can they do things in the meantime?
Well, it's just question. I mean, like it's just pain, right? Like it's like, well,
yeah, so it doesn't prevent them from like doing whatever they want. They just have to live with the pain.
I mean, sure, but like no. I mean, like Cobb, like if you woke up today, right, and like you were just like feeling like pain everywhere, like would you be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go like brush my teeth, go to like class, I'm gonna get like the rest of my life.
The point being, even if we assume that like on net it's like a negative, right, that there's more pain than pleasure, you can still find pleasure and like actively search for it, right? You're not like
sure.
Yeah, so which means that you know there's like something worth going for.
But it's still like a net negative,
to go try
right?
And get that.
It's still a net negative.
Wait.
Yeah, net
no,
negative,
I still
sure,
understand why death is like zero summed. Right, it depends on your current situation, right? Like we can't just assume. Like for each person will perceive death as like a positive or negative, and then you can only like decide what happens, like whether it's worth it, based on how they feel like about death, not what death is. Like,
I think
objectively.
And the timing is also super important. Like how long this chronic pain of the rest of life is.
This is like a very case by case thing. But going on what like Cobb said before about, I guess like suicide. I read this interesting quote that was like, suicide doesn't end the pain, it just passes it to someone else, which I felt was just relevant. But it's also something you probably shouldn't say to people who are actually like in depression and suicidal, because it just makes them feel bad for feeling the way that they are. And I like, from what I've heard, like general consensus agrees that the quote doesn't help by telling it to people. It's just like an interesting idea.
Well, I mean, like, okay, I mean, like on that point, I will say like, while it's not like the best quote, I do think like it is something of like a constructive sentiment, just because like, you know, in my experience, like knowing people who have been going through like depressive or suicidal thoughts, like a lot of the time, the only thing that like really keeps them from like taking that like last step to suicide is like the thought that like it will harm the people in their life, right? Mm-hmm. And like they may not care about themselves, but they certainly care about like other people. Yeah. But I mean, like I just want to address this as like a thought experiment, right? So like just like the general idea of like if you're ever like if like you can like if you can like predict, right, that your future is going to be on the whole more painful than it is like, or like worse than it is better. Like, are you justified in like ending it, right? So, to like let me add some extra parameters.
Yeah.
So let's say, there's like we're talking about like some dude Jim. Now Jim doesn't have any friends, no family, like nobody who will miss him, right? And Jim has Yeah, sad boy Jim. But Jim has like chronic pain, and he knows that he'll have this for basically the rest of his life, right? At that point, considering that he knows that the rest of his life will be filled with a lot of pain, and there's no amount of pleasure that you will be able to have that will match or exceed that pain, is he then justified in committing suicide?
I mean, I'd say yes. I feel like we all agree that he would be
I
justified.
think it depends on Jim's motivations. Like, if he has a drive, like, even if he knows it's going to be a net negative, if he has, like, a drive to do something, even if it's still going to be a net negative, if he can, like, affect other people positively and that makes him feel good, even though it's, like, a net negative on hold, right? Then, like, he can, like, not kill himself and do that stuff. It's on his motivation.
No,
like, what he thinks.
I feel like Noah's just trying to just like put it just like very straightforward. He has no relationships with anybody else. He's just like
and it's
by
not
himself.
A straightforward question.
Like, he can't change anything,
Right.
really.
And
Like he just exists, right? And
The
he
thing
just
I'm trying to-
exists
He just
in pain.
exists and he's in
Right.
pain. That's it.
The thing I'm trying to isolate here, right, is whether suicide is in itself, or like death generally, is in itself a moral act. Is it like, as in, does killing yourself have an inherent moral value attached to it, right? Because like people always say like, oh, you shouldn't kill yourself, but is the reason why they're saying that more about the act of suicide itself, or is it about like all the other stuff? Like, is there anything wrong with suicide as a concept?
If we look at like, I mean, suicide and death are like they're like similar, but they're also like different, right? But when you look at like, if you come across like a deer that got like hit by a car, but it's like still alive, like lots of people, or like if they have like guns or whatever, like in Texas at least, people will like put the deer out of its misery, right? Because it's just like in pain, it can't do anything about it, and like it'll just be stuck there suffering, and it's like better to put it out of its misery, I guess. I guess you could just like cross apply the same decision making behind that to humans as well. But I feel like because we have the ability to speak for ourselves and like communicate our thoughts, we have like an autonomy about whether or not it happens to us, and that just goes into the whole Cobb's whole thing about it's like a case by case basis sort of thing.
Well, okay. Well, I mean, like to address that, like coming back to the whole idea of like the murder corollary, right? If you say that like it's better for Jim to like commit suicide than live through the rest of his pain, you're saying that in this case, right, death is a preferable option for Jim, right?
I mean, yeah, but it's still like his choice, right? We're not saying he should commit suicide.
Sure.
He has like
I'm just saying
the choice.
I'm just saying, right? So like now, let's say you have like Bob, right? And Bob knows all this stuff about Jim. Bob knows that Jim, like, has nobody who like will miss him or love him, and like, has like chronic pain, right? So at this point, is Bob justified in killing Jim? Now I know you said that like it's about the choice, right? Mm-hmm. But why is there a moral value attached to choice? Because like we make decisions, or like people in general make decisions for other people like all the time, right? Like government policymakers, like politicians, like they make like massive choices that affect millions of people without their direct input. So are you saying that like that's immoral? Like they shouldn't be able to do that?
Well, no. So the thing is, like, the politicians, there is some sort of representation, even if it's like indirect, it's still there, right? The people can like affect who the politicians are and stuff like that. But you're not justified in putting somebody, like imposing your own decision calculus on someone else. It's about the choice that he has. You don't have the right to like enforce the choice.
Yeah. We've spent a pretty lengthy time on this, and I'm sure our viewers can make their own decisions about how they feel. But Cobb always likes to read the news. He was our news guy back in high school, and he'll be our news guy now. So Cobb, what is it? What's going on in
All right, so two, I guess, really interesting stories. One pretty short, one and length. The pretty short one is like the funniest one. So Trump like called out the Parasite movie. I don't know if you guys saw this.
Yeah.
Probably
the movie.
Yeah, the Parasite movie.
I didn't see this.
Why did we give? He was like, the Academy Awards were so bad this year. We gave like Best Picture to like some South Korean film. Like, what's up with that? We have such big trade problems with that. Them giving it out. And so Parasite on their official, Yeah. Because it's a South Korean movie, and like he has problems with South Korea, so he's like, why do we as the American Academy give it to them? So then the Parasite movie on their official Twitter account responded saying, "Oh, that's probably because you can't read the subtitles."
No. Okay, wait, no. Like the way they put it.
Read. The implication was you can't read the subtitles.
The way I read it, right? Well, I mean, the quote I read was like way better. It was just understandable. He can't read, which is like I think is like amazing.
Yeah. Well, the implication is you can't read the subtitles.
Yeah, so, I know. I love it. Like, I mean, like honestly, like.
Did he respond?
I've heard that Parasite's a good movie.
I doubt it, dude.
I doubt it. He didn't respond.
Actually, I'm going to watch it on Wednesday again for some class that we have to write something about. So.
Ooh, fun.
Yeah, and it's free.
Oh.
So OP.
Okay, but like, what's the other story called?
The other story is a little bit more interesting, to say the least. I read this article on The Economist about the tech market, right?
Okay.
And so it's that the big five tech companies, Google, Facebook, Amazon, Apple, Microsoft, right?
Yep.
The big five are now worth like trillions of dollars, right?
I mean, yeah.
And a couple of years ago, there was like the big scandals with like, oh, are they becoming too invested in our lives and too much personal privacy? And there's like a lot of backlash, the whole antitrust thing going against them, right? And everybody thought, oh, like this might affect their stocks or something. But if you look at what happened in like that 1.5 year period, the combined value of their stocks increased by over $1 trillion, which is more than some small economies out there in the world, right? So it really looks like these tech companies are going to be dominating the foreseeable future in the world economy as a whole. Like, Apple is far bigger than Standard Oil was back in like the 1900s. So
is it actually, like, if you like scale it?
Yeah, it is.
Definitely. Definitely.
Yeah.
So I guess the question here is, do you think that, I mean, these companies obviously, like, they do a lot of good technological advancements and stuff like that.
You know, fun fact.
The question is, should we curb these big tech companies and try and slow their growth to promote competition?
Ooh.
Unrelated fun fact. Apple pays like their patent lawyers like $100K a month.
Yeah.
Just so you know.
Well, yeah, they get.
That's because they're worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah, a month. So they're making like
1.2
like
million.
over a nice bit over $1 million a year. So
Yeah.
these companies have money to spend.
Yeah.
$100K a month.
What the hell?
Yeah, I mean, like, it's worth it.
I'm thinking of
right?
becoming a patent lawyer straight up.
I mean,
So do you think we should be curbing their growth to promote competition, or like maybe not to promote competition, maybe it's just like to like increase personal privacy? Like, do you think there's a reason we should be curbing their growth as like the government or some other?
What do you think, Jeff?
that's very interesting.
I think no, because I want to go like work at one of these companies and I want to make a lot of money. So
you want
I'm
to make
good.
the AI
Leave
that
them at
destroys,
the
takes all their
STR.
jobs? Is that
It's
it,
fine.
Jeff?
It's fine.
He wants to make the AI that takes all their jobs.
Yeah.
I
It's
mean,
true.
like,
I'm not gonna lie.
I definitely think we need to like slow their roll a bit.
No,
Like,
shut
I don't
up.
know if I agree with like, okay, this one. Look,
I love
first
you,
of
but shut
all,
up.
you're never gonna work at Facebook.
Wow.
Hey, don't say that. I have the connections. Believe.
Ooh, the connections. Yeah, I'm sure you're gonna like send
networking.
send
Hashtag
your-
LinkedIn.
send your-
Hashtag
Ooh.
LinkedIn sponsor us. All right, we got
LinkedIn.
We got a new
LinkedIn,
sponsor.
yeah. we need
All right,
some.
no,
we
but
need money.
do you
Yeah,
actually think we
definitely
should
need
curb
money.
the growth, and why?
Right. But like, okay, I don't think we should go as far as like Elizabeth Warren was saying. Like, you know, we should like break up these big tech companies. But we should definitely do something to slow their roll. Just because, like, I know, like, and Cobb knows, right? I helped prep him for this topic, like, back in June. These, like, big companies, like, by the very virtue of their size, are inherently anti-competitive. And, like, that's not good, right? Because, like, the free market, like, in order to, like, work well, needs to have, like, competition. Like, ideally, it would be a perfectly competitive market.
Right. So how do you respond to the fact that like the majority of startups are only starting their business in the first place in order to get bought out by one of these big five companies? Like the
Right, well,
incentive to get bought out.
I think that like that's like a false dichotomy, right? Because like yes, that's the incentive right now, but that's only because these huge companies exist and they know they're not going to be able to go like toe to toe with Apple. So like instead of going toe to toe with Apple, they're like we should just like take the next best option and just get bought out. Because like what's the other option they have? Get absolutely demolished by Apple because like Apple released their own product that does the exact same thing. Everybody buys it because like everybody likes Apple.
Okay, so your reasoning for curbing them is to promote competition.
Well, partially, but also like I mean, yes, I think these companies have way, way too much power. I mean, like think about it, right? They collect so much data about literally everything. Like think about it, right? Google can tell. Well, I mean, Google, Apple, basically everybody can tell your location. They can tell where you work. Where like, or if you go to school, where you go to school, they can tell who you're related to, who your friends are. They can tell you what you like. They can tell you, I mean, like not just like what you like in terms of like food or everything, but they can tell like these like intimate personal things about you. Like there was a story I remember reading like a couple months ago, right, where Amazon sent like this girl's father a like started sending her recommendations or started sending her father like recommendations about like maternity items, like baby clothes, like maternity dresses, things like that, right? And
based on the age of the daughter?
No, because based on her searches, it figured out she was pregnant and her father didn't know yet. That's how her father found out that she was pregnant, through Amazon.
Wait, what the?
Yeah,
why was he even? That's weird.
I remember reading one story about this too.
Or something?
Like it's really like most of the jobs for like data science jobs and stuff for like Target and Walmart and stuff like that, like based on how like what coupons and emails they sent you for these kind of things, they actually sometimes they know before you know like that you were pregnant. Like I don't know what data science stuff they figure out, but like what they use, but like apparently it's like very statistically like I guess like good, but they know before you know that you're pregnant. They'll start sending you stuff before you even figure it out.
Wait, but if you're not looking up anything related to pregnancy, how are they able to
it might be like your tendencies to buy some items or something like that,
or like it's like trends surrounding it.
Yeah, you can literally write an algorithm.
I'm like I don't know the exact stuff because obviously they won't say that because that's like their company like secret.
That's why they pay their patent lawyers like $100K a month.
But yeah, that's how crazy it is.
I mean, like, and like, yeah, sure. Like, you can say, like, oh, well, like, that's not so bad. Like, Google's not going to go in and, like, try and, like, violate my civil rights, right? But, like, Google's working with
they already have. Hello?
I mean, yeah, but, like, I mean, like Google's not going to send in, like, the fucking, like, Google, like, Navy SEALs and, like, launch a drone strike on your place of residence, right? But, there are, like, actors out there that will. Like, China is developing this massive social credit program, right? Based in part on like technical assistance by companies like Google, based in part on data handed over to them by like Google. At the
same time,
and also
it's okay. Corona will take care of that, Noah. Corona will take care of that. Don't worry.
At the same time, you do have a choice here. You do have a choice not to use these products. When you sign up, you click the checkbox saying that you agree to let them collect all this personal information. You agree. Give all this stuff away.
Okay.
So maybe you don't have a choice. Actually, you could argue that you don't, but at the same time, you're checking off that box.
I disagree heavily. With that. Because, like, all right,
I'm not like saying this is my argument. I'm just saying, like, what do you think about that?
You look at like the top tech companies, right? Like Microsoft, Apple, Google, Facebook, Amazon. You don't use those companies. What are you doing? Are you fucking Amish?
No.
Are you just not using tech?
It's unavoidable to use those things, but you're checking off that box. You're giving them consent to like collect this information. So it's like they're well within their legal bounds to do it.
I mean, Cobb is right to some extent, but at the same time, like I don't know, it's like there are definitely a lot of benefits for having them be able to like use information. So like. Well, because like obviously there's a big consumer benefit, but at the same time there are a lot of harms, and maybe there's like some sort of balance they have to find. But I guess Noah will be OP with his powers and use his GW education to liberate us all.
Change the world. He's gonna write the policies that save our economy.
Definitely.
Noah's going to save our planet.
That's definitely what
Single-handedly. Single-handedly.
No, you can be the first Asian president. We've lost our chance.
We're not.
Yeah,
We're all gonna
Adrian's
act-
out of
this
here,
year.
Noah. He stepped
We're-
out just for you. He knew you
We're
were
all
coming.
gonna act like my international affairs degree will immediately end up in me working at Taco Bell for the rest of my life.
Bro, can you hit me up with the discounts?
No, that's against company policy. Sorry.
Oh my god. Give me nacho fries for free. Okay,
Yeah,
but
Noah's already read the handbook, man.
I'm
But
preparing. I'm getting ready for my career.
in all seriousness, Noah asked, like, you pretty much have to use Google, Facebook, all these other like platforms in your daily life.
Yeah.
But recently, I watched this YouTube video,
Uh-huh.
and it was titled "Deleting Social Media for 30 Days."
Wait, one
And it's
second.
by these
Before you
dudes.
do this, who's the YouTuber?
Yes Theory.
Okay, never mind. I don't know. Okay, I hadn't
Yeah.
seen this.
But this dude from Yes Theory, he did this challenge for 30 days where he cut out like all social media. So he deleted Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, like whatever it may be. And during these 30 days, he did all the things that he's been meaning to do. So he went like surfboarding, he exercised, he read books, he journaled. And at the end of it, he was like a lot happier, and he didn't feel the need to download these apps again or to constantly be on like these websites like Facebook and Instagram. And in the YouTube video, they interview this dude named Cal Newport. He wrote this book called Digital Minimalism, which is a way of life in which you don't use technology that much other than to like basically enhance the things you know you enjoy doing and that give you value. So you use technology in like an exclusive kind of way to maximize the benefit you get out of it. And I've been reading this book, and I've really enjoyed it. I've gotten Noah to start this 30-day challenge with me, and for the past like 10, 12 days, I've been journaling every day. I've been like playing guitar. I've been doing more things, and I've actually really enjoyed it because sometimes on apps like Reddit, Facebook, Instagram, you just kind of start endlessly scrolling, and you just sit there and you never stop scrolling. And what's interesting is that these companies like Facebook, Instagram, they program their applications like as slot machines. Like the engineers actually analyze like what casinos do, and then create the apps to make it work like a slot machine in which you like constantly need to use it over and over again. And that's why they came up with things like the like button in order to give like that positive social reinforcement that like basically all humans seek, just because we like to be accepted by other people. And they've just like basically taken this like I guess one flaw in human psychology and just maximize the profit they can make out of it. And that's why like the top 5 companies, if you look at what they are, like it's Facebook, it's companies like this that pretty much run the world. Yeah.
I mean,
okay, Pranay.
Yeah, Jack was about to say top 5 companies, but he realized only Facebook was the
I mean, no. I mean, Google like you. How long could you go without like using Gmail and stuff? Like
YouTube,
but that's not really
Google owns
social
YouTube.
media.
yeah,
So.
like you
Yeah,
had
Google
the
is
exact
YouTube.
same endlessly scrolling thing. What are the other companies?
Instagram owned by Facebook.
Instagram, yeah, Instagram's now owned by Facebook. Like WhatsApp owned by Facebook. Literally, like just all social media is kind of owned by Facebook. That's why I realized Facebook was like the only one, just because they bought everything.
I will say, Viswa says he convinced me, but like in reality, I was just kind of like he just told me about it. I was like, all right, that sounds cool. I'll do it. And I just deleted all my like.
I literally gave you the entire spiel now.
Yeah, you explained what it is.
You didn't
And
even
then you
use
started
like, anything.
it. I'd say that's convinced.
All right,
Yeah,
all right, that's fair.
Noah
That's fair.
says this, but yesterday Noah posted a picture of his
That's
like.
true. It was root tomatoes. I thought I liked how
But
the
look,
first
he's
like
cooking.
on that photo.
He's cooking. He's not scrolling
Yeah.
on Reddit. He's cooking.
Oh, I mean, like
Okay.
that's on Instagram, and like I don't really use Instagram, and like I don't know, like I just felt the need because
Like-
like I put 5 hours into that pot of tomato soup, and god damn it, people are gonna see it.
Okay.
So the thing about digital
No, I
minimalism,
think-
real quick, Cobb, is that you don't. It's not like you don't use it. In the book that Cal Newport writes, he literally says like after 30 days, it's not like you're supposed to delete them permanently for the rest of your life, and you can use them occasionally. It's just you shouldn't become addicted to these apps to the point where you're just like constantly scrolling. Like it's fine that Noah did that like one post, and he probably didn't use it again after he did.
Yeah, so I actually done
I'll
a
play-
couple of like I haven't done like a legitimate just straight up 30-day thing, but like I have done like a couple things, and I feel like now where I'm at is like pretty. I feel like pretty healthy. But also one other thing is like I have to I have to do it. Like I have to have Instagram, for example, for like I don't know if I want to promote something maybe like Red Cross related or something like that. But
Red
Okay,
Cross
yeah, I'll talk
sponsors.
about
Yeah.
that in a second, but Cobb has something to say about this.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'll play devil advocate here. I'll play like the Facebook guy here. So I think
God, you're
that
always playing devil's advocate, God. Maybe you just are the devil.
yeah,
Maybe that's
yeah,
it.
maybe. So like,
Doesn't even
I
deny
mean,
it.
Yeah, have you
there
ever
are a
considered
lot
that
of.
you are in fact Satan, Mr.
I have my
Lucifer
Twitter
Morningstar?
account got banned.
Hello.
Zan's Twitter account got banned. Sad. He made a bunch of good posts. I made a bunch of good posts. Yeah, no. So like these big companies, Google, like you need Gmail, you need these type of things to like do good work and like function pretty much in society. But let's look at like besides like the necessary stuff. Let's take all the necessary stuff. Okay, everybody needs that. Let's look at the unnecessary stuff regarding like Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat. I think there's a lot of value there if you know how to use it right. That doesn't necessarily have to be minimalism, right? Because a lot like Facebook and Instagram and stuff like that, they do a lot of like the platform itself allows for a lot of good things to happen. You see all these like charity live streams, things like that. A lot of charity campaigns and good causes get started on these platforms, and that wouldn't really gain traction unless people are using them a lot. It connects people who never would have like met before, or maybe it's keeping people in touch with each other. Like I mean, even us, like if we didn't have social media, there would be like very delayed communication between us.
You can email.
Physical locations.
Email
Like,
each other.
even like like email, even that's like a little bit delayed, right?
Yeah.
Like this allows for instant access. It allows for a lot of work to get done more effectively, like across the world. But I guess that kind of falls into the necessary component. I guess the thing is, you should know your own limits and then apply that to yourself. Whatever you feel is the healthy amount of social media to use, that's the correct amount,
Okay.
right? I don't think it's like a set amount, and
Yeah.
it doesn't necessarily have to be like, oh, only an hour a day or something like that, right? Like whatever you think is the healthy amount that you feel good taking on, and you can still do other things and you're not like sucked in, that's the healthy amount for you.
That's like the other part of digital minimalism. It's not, like I said before, it's not cutting out all technology, but it's just maximizing your use of the technologies you do decide to use. The reason you do the 30-day challenge to just get rid of all of it, like get rid of YouTube, get rid of Insta, get rid of Facebook just for those 30 days, is to like detox yourself to no longer feel the need to use them the way you've used them before. But like if Pranay wants to, advertise for Red Cross on Instagram or something, like he should be able to do that, and it is a useful platform to do those types of things, and the same goes for Facebook, right? But once you like detox yourself for these 30 days, you gain like the clarity you need in order to maximize your use of these apps, which is what the whole philosophy behind digital minimalism is. Noah?
Yeah, I mean, like, okay, so I will say this. I noticed quite a bit, even over the last week, right, which is only how long I've been doing this, that the amount of, like, impulse to use technology was almost never tied to something constructive or productive. It was almost always like, I'm standing in line at the grocery store, let me just pull out Reddit. Or, like, I'm just, like, sitting around and, like, I ain't doing much, like, right now. Let me just pull out Reddit, right? Or, like, let me pull up YouTube. And, I mean, like, that was really what I was doing for, like, the majority of my time, like, beforehand, right? I was just, like, playing Destiny 2, scrolling on Reddit, listening to, like, videos on YouTube. And ultimately, like, cutting out those three things themselves, the ability for me to like work on like actual impactful things has skyrocketed. Like I've been like working on like the D&D campaign. I always told myself that I'd build for you guys.
Yeah.
And like I know when we get back in the summer we're gonna play, and like I don't know, maybe put on the podcast. We'll see.
Oh shit.
But yeah. So like that's just like my 2 cents.
Yeah, I also read this other book. I forgot exactly what it was called. Maybe it was, I think it's The Power of Habit, or it was like something along that.
Seven. What is it? 7 something to highly effective people.
I think I told you to read it, and you said your mom had it or something like that.
But it's something highly effective people. 7 habits for highly.
7 habits of highly effective people.
That's really fucking good, but like you definitely.
Yeah,
should.
it's a really.
Okay, either way, so in one of them they said like you should like set out some time for you just to be bored. Like you should like destigmatize the idea of like being bored as something bad. And it's like, for example, sometimes like when I'm driving, like I don't drive right now, but like when I'm in Dallas and I'm driving, like sometimes I just won't put music. I just won't put anything. I just like
Sometimes he gets bored when he's driving. He just like takes his wrong takes turns wherever he
no,
is.
like bored in terms of just like sit there and just like do nothing, and just like you can think about stuff, but just like try not to be
I feel like driving
stimulated.
is not the optimal time to do this.
I mean,
I feel like when you're driving, you should be focused on the road.
I mean,
I
yeah,
mean,
I'm
it's
obviously
fine.
focused on the road, but it's not like I'm gonna put like all my attention on the road. That's not
Pranay
like
just,
someone.
like-
I'm not gonna
Renee's
race
just
to
like
Zoom
driving
all
along, like hits like an old lady, like oof. Oh, that's interesting.
the place. just passing.
What a
thought. What a
I'm glad
thought.
I'm not.
Yeah, but so like
No, kind of going off what you said though, PJ. Like, I think that there are times where it's healthy to just like sit there and browse through Reddit or watch some YouTube videos and just waste time. Like, those can be good things too.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, they're not all bad. Like, of course, like overly doing anything really is like a bad thing. But like in moderation, just wasting time on Reddit or YouTube can be a good thing.
Hmm.
Just help you relax or whatever.
yeah, Jet.
That's fair.
I mean, but there are different ways of doing that, right? So like, I could like go to YouTube and then watch like a guitar tutorial for something, and then like help maximize my productivity while also like using these platforms at their best. But if I'm just like constantly watching like Smash Brothers videos on YouTube, like eventually it just becomes a waste of time. Even though like I do enjoy them and it's like a good way to relax.
Yeah, so there's gotta be limits.
And I mean, there's times when like we just need to stop processing inputs. Like our brain, like every time we're like bored, we'll like listen to music or we're like scroll on our phones, or we have that knee jerk reaction to just like pull out our phone and then open it up. Like I remember after I deleted like Reddit, I think I would open my phone, go to where Reddit was, and click whatever app was there. It was like this random T-Mobile TV app. It was like the most useless app in the universe. And I just kept opening. I opened this app like 5 times in one day just because that's where Reddit used to be, and I had this knee jerk reaction to use it. But I mean, yeah, Renee.
Yeah, well, one of my friends actually has this like really interesting thing for Android. It's an app. It's like every time you open your phone, it tracks how long you use it, and your screensaver is like it puts like a bubble that represents how long you used it. So each bubble is a different time you use your phone, and the bigger the bubble is, the longer like you've used it. And it's supposedly it's like supposed. Obviously I don't have it because I have Apple. It's supposed to like help you like identify how long
Well,
you're using
we
and
have
stuff.
that
But
too.
for
We
him,
have
it
that
doesn't
too.
work.
Yeah.
Oh, do we
Mhm.
actually?
No, do you want to?
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
in the
so-
settings.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so for both platforms, there are ways you can just keep track of how much time. And something interesting for all our viewers to do is just take your phone out right now and go into settings and try and find where. If you have an iPhone, Noah, do you want to explain how to get there? It's
Just go to settings. There's like screen time. Click on it.
Screen time, yeah. And then in
I don't
Android,
know.
you can just go
You're
to
smart.
settings, and then under
You can read
battery, you
English.
can find how long you've been
Figure
on
it
your
out.
phone. And I feel like the numbers you read might surprise you.
Also, we keep saying
Uh,
viewers, but we're doing a podcast.
Oh,
That is-
listeners,
Whatever.
same difference, whatever.
Yeah.
What if they're secretly watching us?
Yeah. Facebook, Google, you're out there. Sponsor us, even though we
Yeah.
want to take you apart.
And I know we've kind of bashed on how we use YouTube to waste time, but we all have favorite YouTubers.
That is true.
Uh,
Jit, Noah, and I have we have favorite
Ooh.
YouTubers.
Yeah. Currently, at least, well, not currently because I haven't used YouTube in a while, but before I deleted YouTube, there was one YouTuber. He plays the bass. His name is Davey504. I don't know if you guys have seen him, but he's just really funny. He has like this kind of character that he portrays where he's just like, all he does is he says slap a lot, and he's just like very monotone. It's great. You guys should check him out. But what are y'all's favorite
Slap a lot.
YouTubers?
So I guess I can go. I have
Yeah,
I have a
guess
couple.
You can go, Renee.
I guess so. I guess so.
Obviously, Mr. Fruit. If you haven't heard of him,
Yeah,
he's
we all love him.
good.
Yeah, we all
fucking
love it.
good.
That's why
fucking
that's why
YouTuber.
we're doing our podcast right now.
Yeah,
Mr.
it's like
Fruit's gaming
Mr. Fruit.
channel.
yeah, Mr. Fruit Gaming Channel and all the extended Dream Team. Everybody, if you don't know what I'm
Yep.
talking about,
Yeah.
you have to go to Mr. Fruit. You have to
Mr.
watch
Fruit,
his videos.
sponsor us. Heidi
Give us a
ho.
shout out.
Howdy ho, everybody. Okay. After that, there's one Smash YouTuber called Little Z, and
Little Z.
his roommate Hopcat. Those are the people, and
Yep.
Nairo, occasional Nairo.
Nairo MK.
Yeah.
Yep. Jacob, you wanna go?
Yeah, so I mean I watch the more mainstream, I guess. I don't really know if you use mainstream at all, but like the more mainstream gaming YouTubers, like Jacksepticeye, I really like him. He's a good person, I feel. I like his videos. And then I do watch Markiplier a lot, and their extended team, World Minion 777, Maestro, those two guys, like those three together are so funny. So funny. All of their gaming videos are so good. I'll even watch like the PewDiePie videos every now and then. Like his stuff is also like pretty good. Like after he just took a break, and the stuff he's been posting after he came back is like actually been like pretty good. Like I like his stuff. I know it's like more mainstream, but I still think they're doing a lot of funny and good content. Yeah, I mean those would be probably.
I mean, for me, I think like besides Mr. Fruit, I watch a lot of like rather kind of like niche, like informational YouTubers.
Well, not anymore, right? No.
Yeah, not anymore, but I used to.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
Kurgazon,
I think
Oh, yeah.
Kurgazon is a good one.
Very good.
There's Mustard. Mustard does like these like videos on like civil aviation, like specific
What?
stories behind like planes, and they're always fascinating. Like there was like a plane called like the Bristol Brabazon, right?
No,
Yeah.
what
Which
is
is, like,
civil
the
aviation?
biggest-
No.
It's like not military aviation.
Oh,
It's-
okay, that makes sense.
Military aviation go pew pew. Civil aviation go get in the aisle and sit the fuck down.
Okay.
Anyways, so there was a plane called like the Bristol Brabazon, right? It was this
Yeah.
massive propeller engine plane, and it was basically Britain during World War II, right? It was like, we're gonna make this plane and we're gonna dominate the airline industry after the war. And they do that, and as soon as they build that, jet airplanes come out, and they're like, well, this is useless now. And it was just a fascinating story, but like
Very fascinating.
that's but anyway, so like beyond that, I love like history YouTubers. There's a really good one, Historia Civilis. He
Oh, what
mainly
the hell?
does
I've never heard of this.
Roman history, but like it's great. Like he goes through like the entirety of like Caesar's campaigns, and like all is very nice.
And I don't know if you can tell, but Noah is a big nerd, especially about history. And if you guys have any
Shut up.
questions for
I
him,
am cultured
please
and
email him
informed,
at
unlike some
Cafe
people.
Cafe
Punch
Punch.
2000 at
Yeah,
gmail.com.
oh my
If
God.
you
Yeah,
have
just,
any questions
Like
for
going
him,
off the whole history thing, like, we need
If
to
you-
give a. I feel like we need to give a shout out to the YouTube channel that gave us our name or gave us our cover photo.
Ooh.
The
YouTube
Epic
channel.
Battles of History.
Oh yeah, epic rap
Right?
battle.
Oh yeah.
Kinda
Yeah.
OP. The best one, like I think the one that we all agree is the best one is the
For
TMA
sure.
versus the.
For sure. Teenage Mutant
it's
Ninja
got the
Turtles.
best.
Let's
It's
try
got the
Bro,
best
we
beats, the bars
we
are
actually
OP.
know this from the top, like literally, like by heart. We know
We
all the
won't do
lines.
it. We won't do it from the top.
I feel like that's what gave us a cover photo. Like we have been known as a TMNT. Like our whole group chats are called like TMNT. It's been that way for a while now. We each have our own rules. I also feel like giving a shout out to Bad Lip Reading. Their sauce
Yeah.
pretty OP. Seagulls, Stick.
Yeah, Stiegel,
Yep,
Stick.
we love him.
Yeah, 49 bushels of love. Bushels of love.
Yeah, bushel of love,
Yeah.
Yeah.
We all do. We know all these by heart too.
Yes.
Yep, it's all pretty nice.
So,
I mean-
so like, I mean, these YouTubers are like not really mainstream. I don't know. Would you call them mainstream entertainment? Would you call YouTube?
yeah, definitely.
I think.
I feel like
yeah, bad
Yeah,
lip reading
Renee.
definitely is fairly mainstream.
Epic Rap Battles of History, definitely like mainstream.
once you're on like the little fire icon that's there, like on
Yeah,
like the trending
yeah.
thing, you're mainstream. Like you're there, you made it. Like
No
once the
question.
algorithm favors
No,
you,
do
you
you think,
made
like-
it.
No doubt.
Do you think like YouTube as a whole is mainstream? Like watching.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely.
Are you kidding me?
Okay.
I mean, like at the point
No,
where
there's a
like
lot of
basically.
people that don't consider that mainstream. Right?
Well, at the
and
point
to
where
all
like
of our
basically the
listeners-
number one meme for Bernie Sanders' campaign is
Oh,
a
yeah.
YouTube ad. Like, come on.
And to all of our listeners,
We
slap
are once
that
again
like
asking for your
button,
financial
turn
report.
on that notification bell,
we're,
and
we're
subscribe
once again
now.
asking for you to subscribe now.
Please
Give us a
slap that
5-star
subscribe
rating.
button.
Ooh.
Hit us with that 5-star rating. Leave a comment down below if you enjoyed the podcast.
I haven't seen any comments yet.
I haven't seen
We're
any
waiting.
comments either.
We know
I
you
haven't-
exist. At
That's
least
because
one
we
person
don't have any
exists.
listeners.
No, we do.
I
we
know
do.
one person exists.
They don't
We
exist.
are
Thanks, Mom.
we are
I
5-star
disagree.
rated.
Shout
though.
out to my mom.
We are
We are
5-star
5-star
rated.
rated. We are 5-star rated.
All right.
Yep.
Well,
Anyways, now that you've slapped like and hit that subscribe button and given us a good.
turn on the notification bell.
Yep. Once you've done all that, you can hear more about a serious topic, which is a recession, which is something we've all heavily debated while we were in high school. And it's something that we've all really hoped that would happen because it would just mean our arguments are true when they're probably not.
Yeah.
But we've had like millions of different reasons as to why recessions happen.
Mostly
One was
it's
just
because
because the
$100
US
trillion
signed some random
asset
agreement.
debt bubble.
Mostly is because
Yep.
60% of economists agree that a recession will happen by 2021.
60%, that's the number. Wait, sometimes it's 80 though.
Sometimes 80,
Bloomberg 2019.
Bloomberg, yep, they spout this information. But pretty much like every 2 months, someone is like, there's going to be a recession. And, it's just a constant cycle until we're waiting for it to actually happen.
Well, the thing is, you can cause a recession by just saying there will be one. You can change people's expectations and then change their behavior, right? They'll increase the savings they have, which decreases their demand, and that's just by saying there is one.
Oh, Jesus Christ, Cobb. Stop saying that a recession is going to happen. You're going to cause one.
Yeah, God, what the hell? All our listeners are gonna go out, fucking take all their savings out of the banks, and the banks are gonna fucking fail.
I'm already opening up my Bank of America app. I'm taking out all my money. This is all your fault, Cobb.
No, it's that they
Either
put
way,
more
sir.
in the bank. It's that they don't spend more, and it's that they save more, which decreases aggregate demand.
Oh shit. Well, I'm saving. I'm saving. Oh God, Cobb. I
Yeah,
can already feel my C spending going down.
yeah. So the interesting thing now is, so the reason why it's so contentious now is because our economy is in this really, really stable place, and it's been so stable for so long, and that's why all the economists and everybody are just wondering if it's going to happen or not. But we've been having this really, really stable growth that doesn't seem to be going down. There are no signs of any sort of any sort of recession or anything.
A period of really, really long, extended growth right now, right? That hasn't been going away for a while.
Well, I mean, that's an interesting case, right? Because if you think about it, if you ask the question is when will a recession happen? For most parts of the world, it already has happened. Germany went through a recession last year.
That's true, but I'm talking about
China's growth
the
has been
US.
slowing down.
Yeah.
Right. But I mean, that's the big question, right? If a recession doesn't happen in the U.S., right? Can a recession in another part of the world circle back?
Well,
and hit
of course, that's true. That's that goes back to the intermediate macro. I don't know if you guys are taking that, but it's this part, the world interest rate can only be affected by large economies. And basically, the only two in the world that can really affect the world interest rate is if all of the EU somehow went into a recession at the same time, that could affect it. Which possible with Brexit, China or the US, right? So unless the Chinese or the US economies go belly up, I don't think they're going to be seeing this big, huge recession globally happen. I don't think we. Right? So I think it would have to be something internally in one of those three places that caused. And it probably comes from the U.S. just because we had such a recession is not by any means it's just a normal part of the business cycle, right? Really, really over in the U.S. So it probably comes from the U.S., but I don't really know. Could come from virus, maybe it's China.
No. I mean, honestly, they've been saying coronavirus is a short-term thing. It's only gonna impact the economy short-term, but the way it's going right now, yeah, no, we're fucking dead.
Done for.
So I know that Cobb has another question, because yes, we are full of questions, and this one's a bit more non-serious. So Cobb, take it away.
Yeah, so I read a really
Car
interesting.
crashes.
No. I read a really interesting, like, conflicting view type of article. So obviously, two really iconic characters of the last decade or so, Captain America and Optimus Prime, right?
Yes.
Two leaders of their respective like organizations, really big characters. Arguably, one has better movies. Like pretty obviously, one
I mean,
has
we
better
all
movies,
know
better characters.
the Transformers cinematic universe is second to none. Like, it is just a billion-dollar Titanic
Right.
hegemon, right? Like, the TCU has really taken
Right,
over the entertainment industry.
Exactly.
Right, that has nothing to do with the question. The question is solely
If you guys did not notice, he was being sarcastic.
Yeah, I think we got that.
For our listeners.
Oh, no,
there.
I was being totally truthful.
No, totally.
But
Totes
that was also sarcastic for those who didn't catch that.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Totes my guts.
The question
Every
is,
time we make a joke, we shall let you guys
Yep.
know.
Because that's how you make something
Let me ask
funny.
a question.
You explain the joke. That's how you make it funny.
Exactly.
So the question is,
Yeah.
who gives a better inspirational speech? Optimus Prime or Captain America?
Bro, it doesn't even matter, bro. All Captain America has to do is stand there and be like, Avengers, assemble. And then
Yeah.
everyone's like, whoa, whoa!
Okay.
Step on
No,
it, Captain America.
He doesn't even have to say. Doesn't even have to say anything. He can just be like, hold his hand
Yeah.
out and get
Like,
Mjolnir,
the
and
best
it's
Yeah,
done.
speech
it-
Captain
it
America
was-
ever
yeah,
made
not
was
a speech.
retrieving
That's
a
not a
hammer.
speech. No. That's not a speech. That's not a speech. I'm talking about like actual words
Yeah.
of speech.
I'll give him up.
Look,
It's
man.
a non-verbal speech. That was
Bro,
like a
Optimus Prime
fucking
You know what,
picture
Jacob?
that told
A
a million
hammer
words.
speaks
Optimus
1,000 words.
Prime-
A hammer speaks
Optimus
1,000
Prime.
words.
Yo, when I hear Optimus Prime, I feel like I'm gonna go fight the gods myself.
Ooh.
Optimus Prime.
It's fine.
Have you heard his speeches? My
It
God.
doesn't
Optimus
matter.
Prime is an
I haven't,
overgrown,
that's probably
tall
why.
construct
I
you heard it
figured
here
it out.
first, folks. Optimus Prime is
Yeah,
not good for the environment. Like,
That is true.
okay,
He takes
he doesn't
in.
rap.
you're,
What does he
Does
even
he use
use his
gas?
energy?
I don't
he's
know.
a fucking, like,
I mean,
14-wheeler or a 16-wheeler or whatever.
Yeah, he has to.
Yeah, but not all 14-wheelers transform.
Yeah,
into
this is a
giant
good
people,
question. Hold on. This is a good question. Why don't the Transformers have to fill up on
That's
fuel?
true. That's true. Very true.
right? Okay,
What the hell do
I don't
they
know.
like? What do they consume? Like, how do they get
They eat
nutrients
other
and like
Transformers.
food? And,
Like,
Do they
Wait,
just
wait,
eat
wait.
the
Wait, they
Decepticons?
Okay.
So they
obviously
beat
do
them
have
up?
gas. They obviously do have gas because I remember very distinctly when they're like cutting up all the Decepticons and stuff. There's like gas flying
Yeah.
everywhere. So they
like
like gas.
they're
tanks in the-
basically giant
So why do we never
cars.
see them filling up?
Well, I mean, they're basically giant cars, right? Because, like, I remember distinctly, like, one of the
do they have gas on Mars where their like
Wait, the
home
whole
planet
planet
was?
was Cybertron. Not
Mars.
No. It was like one side of Mars.
Ooh, that's a
like that's
deep
what
No,
one.
I'm
it
pretty
wasn't.
sure.
It's a different
Like Cybertron
planet.
was like.
It's a different planet. What the? it's
No,
not.
okay. Like in Deep Lore, but in the cinematic,
Okay.
cinematic
The
universe, I
cinematic
swear to
universe,
God,
a
it was
new
in
planet.
Mars.
Yep.
It's called Cybertron.
The
He, like,
billion-dollar
bring it to Earth.
TCU
Word.
cinematic. If you go online, you can read the lore.
I swear
You know,
to
you
God.
think about Dark Side of the Moon, where they like crash their ships into the opposite side of the moon, but that wasn't their home planet. Their home planet has always been Cybertron. They like brought Cybertron to Earth and they're like,
All right.
Okay. But, like, here's the thing, right?
Oh yeah. they
You're
did.
telling me that these so-called Autobots who are here to save the Earth can't be bothered to transform into, like, I don't know, an electrical vehicle? Like, you know, what about fucking Tesla, right? Yeah,
They can't turn
Climate
into a
change.
Tesla.
Like, they're not saving the Earth.
You want to
Hello?
talk about the Decepticons? Let's talk about fucking climate change, right? Are the Decepticons going to cause like trillions of dollars of economic damages? Are the Decepticons going to cause this fucking sea level to rise? I don't think so. You know who's the real threat? Fucking climate change. All right, Greta Thunberg
Bro, the
sponsor us.
Decepticons were terraforming the Earth. The Decepticons started terraforming the Earth. I'm pretty sure.
I
And that's a good thing. It stops climate change.
Yeah. If you haven't noticed, Noah's our history nerd. Cobb is our like action Marvel superhero nerd, and Pranay and I are both free, available, single, and
Ooh.
on the market. So
I would say
I'm gonna keep
these-
advertising this every episode until it works.
That's no. You have not assigned the rules properly. Noah's the history guy, but he also does a lot of this action stuff. I do a lot of the action stuff. I would say I'm like the biological sciences
Ooh.
person. computer
wow.
science.
Let's talk about
Okay.
that, Jacob.
Renee's the
Wait,
guy
hold on.
that
Let's
you
talk
just,
about
like,
that real quick, because you claim to be a so-called doctor, or in the so-called you're in like so-called like medical school, but I've never seen you save a single life, Cobb. I've never seen you do a single operation. What's up with that?
Yeah,
What's up with that?
Yeah,
Yeah,
when we're on the Red Cross
Yeah.
park cleanups, what were
I
you
was
doing,
cleaning the
Tom?
park, too.
What were you doing? Were you
Speaking
saving
of
lives? Were you saving
speaking of
lives?
park
That's probably because
cleanups.
I'm not an actual doctor yet.
Speaking of the
yeah,
park
that's
cleanups,
right.
I remember some good stories from high school. You remember the good times in high school, guys?
I do remember the good
Yeah,
time.
I feel like
this
I feel like
I don't
every
remember
episode
at
of this
all.
podcast we always talk about news or something
I
happening
don't-
in the economy or
I
something
don't
just
remember
broad in
at
general
all.
like that, like the movies. But I feel like this time it's time for our listeners to find out more about our personal lives a bit.
I don't know why they would
And,
want to do that, but you know what? Like,
I feel like you can
I
really
feel
get to
like
understand
people
this.
wanna know
if
about
you're
Renee, right?
okay,
People want to
Yeah.
know
let
about
me just say
Renee.
this.
What the
Yeah,
hell?
because all they know so far,
Why me,
far
man?
is that he likes boxer briefs.
Ooh.
But there was actually once a girl
I mean,
that he
that's
also
all you need
happened
to
to
know.
like back in sophomore
That's
year.
all you need to know.
Little known fact: he
Okay.
once confused boxer briefs for an actual woman, which is how this whole thing happened.
Yep, exactly.
I know. That's not accurate at all.
And sometimes Pranay is just wild. Sometimes you're just too scared to make the move.
Ooh.
I remember talking to her. We'll call her. What should we call her?
North Carolina.
Should we disclose?
Same thing.
We'll call her North Carolina. We'll call her North Carolina.
'Cause-
North Carolina. Back in
Okay.
sophomore year.
Yeah.
I'll tell this story because I know Pranay doesn't want to. So, back in sophomore year, Pranay liked North Carolina. And, that's fine. And he never did anything about it. The entire year, he didn't do anything about it. But at the very end of the year, he asked to sign her yearbook. And within the yearbook, I have read the message personally, by the way. Within the yearbook, Pranay wrote a nice long message. And then basically, it was like almost basically him saying, I like you. And I talked to her because I'm good friends with North Carolina.
And
And
if you're wondering why we call her
said-
North Carolina, is because she really made Pranay's South
No.
rise again.
Oh, let's go! History reference. What up, Noah?
Yeah.
Okay.
So after she finds out that Mr. Pranay over here liked her, she was like, "Oh, I totally would have dated him if he asked me out or if he told me something or did anything really earlier in the year." But at that point, she was changing schools and nothing could be done about it. So, yeah. And now, in honor of North Carolina, Jacob, would you like to share your personal anecdote?
Yeah, no. So if you didn't know, we're all debaters, right? And one thing you have to do at the beginning of the debate round to just get things going, decide what side you are, do a coin flip.
Oh yeah.
So every day I like bring a coin to school just in case we're doing practice rounds or going to tournaments. You gotta have a coin. So to this day, I still carry a quarter that has North Carolina on the back for good luck. Because it's always worked out for Pranay, so it's got to work out for
And like,
And then they proceeded to lose
Has it
several
really
rounds.
though? Has
I'm
it
gonna say,
really
like,
worked out for
our
me
listeners
though?
out there, the real moral of the story is, sometimes when you're feeling it, you gotta shoot your shot. If you're like, if you see that girl and you really want to ask that girl out, go
Yeah.
ask her out. If you want that job
Bro.
and you should go apply. If you get rejected from our school and you want to take
Just-
over Germany, go for it. Follow your dreams.
Yeah,
This-
dude,
this
just
is
because
coming
there's
from
a
the only
goalie,
guy who has a
just
girlfriend.
because there's a goalie, doesn't mean you can't
Exactly.
score, baby. Welcome to the FIFA World Cup
Okay.
2022, coming at
You
you.
think Joseph Stalin
2 years,
got to
or 2
where he
years.
was by not taking chances, by not taking risks? No. He
Why
saw
not
the
shooting
opportunity.
shots, man?
and
He shot so
took
many
it.
shots.
Oh yeah, he shot like
Yeah.
like one could even say he shot like thousands of shots, maybe even hundreds of thousands. But that's how you get to be a real leader, right?
Interesting.
We're sorry if we've offended anyone. I don't think we have, but if we did offend
Maybe
you in
North
some way or
Carolina.
form, we are very sorry. And if North Carolina is listening to this, Pranay still might like you.
Ooh,
Yeah.
that's very. Oh,
yeah.
oh,
It is
Pranay,
not-
let's
it
weigh
is
the
not,
probability here.
this
Let's see
is-
the statistics, Pranay.
I'm taking statistics right now. I
This
can
is
calculate
not-
it.
what the
Let's do
fuck?
the normal CDF of Pranay's
I'm
chances.
Hold
with
on.
this girl to how much
the
she
hell?
likes
I'm
it.
just putting in the
Noah, do you wanna
numbers.
pull out your
I'm
graphing
putting in the
calculator?
numbers. Oh.
All right, Noah's getting the numbers. All right, Noah,
Well,
what's it say?
it says elements, console, sources, network performance, HTML laying equals EN. I think I might have opened up inspect element.
Oh, you know what that translates to?
What
On
is
a
what is
graphing
that?
calculator, that means syntax error. No, that's what that
Well, I
means.
mean, you know what that.
Because Pranay just could not find the words to talk to North Carolina.
Spare the man, please.
What the heck?
The man suffered
Why are
a
we doing
deep,
this?
deep syntax error,
Why are we doing this?
You know,
and it's a tragedy.
no. Pranay kept putting in the
True
kept
tragedy.
putting in the numbers. He couldn't have it come out to less than 3. It was pretty unfortunate.
Yep.
Okay, well, that was
Pranay, what's your take on this
good
situation,
story.
Pranay? Why don't you contribute something
What's
to
my
this
take?
conversation?
What do you? What the hell? What do you want me to
I
contribute?
know you can't see
Do you
this, but,
still like this girl?
Yeah, tell your side of the story.
Well, just real quick about Pranay.
Why is that?
If you don't know him, if Pranay doesn't know what to
Okay.
say, he'll just smile. He'll just look around, smiling, like he doesn't understand what the hell is happening. He's just smiling. Because that's the kind of person he is. He's happy because he's confused.
That's a.
Sometimes it's good
That's a
to be
good summation.
confused, man.
Yeah,
Sometimes
Pranay
you
is not
just don't
confused.
want to
Pranay
know
is
everything.
choosing to be confused right now. He is very well aware
Yeah,
of what's
because it's
happening.
good to be confused.
But
It's good to be
I
confused
think all our
sometimes.
listeners are dying to hear the answer to the question.
Ooh.
Pranay, do you still like North Carolina? Have you ever gotten your high school sophomore
Okay.
feelings?
No offense to everybody, but as of now, I do not.
No,
I
that's a
I do
lie.
not
That's a
like.
lie.
That
Wow.
sounds some like
This is not a
lies to
lie.
me. All right,
This
let me
is
tell
not a
you about something
lie.
I learned
This
last
is
week
definitively a
in
truthful
international
statement.
security politics. It's about game theory, right? So assume you have 2 actors, and this
Okay.
is we'll go with the prisoner's dilemma. Now you have North Carolina, and you have Pranay. Now they could choose to cooperate, right, and hook up, or one of them could choose to defect and stay single and reject the other person. Now here's the thing, Pranay is an actor with incomplete information in this situation. He could try and cooperate and ask out in like North Carolina, but she might defect, and then where would he be? So he's choosing to defect.
Where's the anonymity, Noah? Where is it? You almost said her name.
I said North Carolina. What are you talking
Yeah,
about?
I think there's only one real solution to this problem. One day we're gonna have a special guest on this
Ooh.
podcast. That special guest is going to be North Carolina, and then we will get the true
Okay.
answers.
This
Hey,
is not
everyone listening,
That's
leave
all.
a comment down below if you would like to see North Carolina on the next episode of the
Wait,
podcast.
do we even have a
It's
comment
not
section?
gonna be a single comment.
Yeah, I think there is comments on
Oh,
the
shit.
podcast.
I believe there are comment
Oh,
sections.
shit.
And if you can't find the comment section, or if you're having any
Just
trouble,
subscribe. Just subscribe.
so subscribe, and please send an email to cafepunch2000@gmail.com. If you have any history related questions, you can send them there too. It'll go straight to Noah. He'll get back
just so
to
you
you
know,
within 5 minutes.
all I'm gonna send you is a link to Bernie Sanders' donation page, just because I'm feeling the bird, man. Bernie 2020, let's go.
It's feeling the burn. So, Pranay,
I think.
Well,
yeah,
I
mean,
we've run out of bullshit
just
to talk
make
about.
sure we have, and
It's pretty sad.
just don't forget that if you want to see North Carolina on this podcast, let us know. Let us know.
I think it would be a great experience for
I don't
all
like
parties involved, especially us.
I don't like this at all. I don't like this one bit. This
Maybe
is
you don't
not-
like this, but we
You
know you
know what?
like her.
Ooh.
Here we are, TMNT, bringing you the music outro for today's podcast. Episode 3. I mean, 2. Screw you, Cop.
Alright.
Screw you. Okay.
Bum, 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 bum,
Recap song.
bum, 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 bum.
Will AI ever become sentient? Obviously, yes. That was a dumb question. Here's a better one. Will Jim commit Suicide. Now that's a guy that has it pretty bad. Nobody to love him. That would make anybody pretty mad. Speaking of mad, let's talk about the tech market. It's blowing up.
Yeah.
This would take me out.
Today I started a project. It wasn't really a project, it was just like a 30-day challenge or something. But I thought it was really helpful for my life, cause I got everything organized. And now Pranay's just making a beat, but Pranay has a lot more that he might beat to me, because he's thinking of a special girl he met in sophomore year. What a twirl. I had to rhyme that, but it's fine. North Carolina is also kind of fine, at least according to Pranay. He still might like her, by the way. That was a good rhyme. And now I think it's close to about time that we stop this rhyme.